Hello, hello.
Hi there.
Hi, everyone in the chat. I'm just going to take a quick second to say hi to everyone. Danny is here, Jody, Marilyn, Melissa is here. You guys are in there. Amanda, the Growing Farmyard, thank you very much for dropping by. I'm just going to make something clear right away. When I do this, it's a stress, anxiety thing. Okay?
I got allergies right now, so we both look like we've been partying like 80s stockbrokers.
Yeah, that's something I was told when we were hunting. Serge and Jack told me the same thing, so I just wanted to clear out. So, how was the return back home?
Oh, went quick. Like I said in my video, it's a quick 4-hour drive. So
Jack doesn't drive.
Well, I do drive. I often. But he doesn't. You like driving a lot, so
I do.
Yeah, made good time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, we ended up having to drive Jack back at the restaurant La Source, which is close by, on Friday afternoon because the Hurricane Fiona was coming in and Lindsay didn't want to be home alone for the weekend, which is understandable. So he had to go, and on the next morning we harvested a moose. So
yep,
he was the bad luck, or
that's what I was thinking.
Pressure on me, and I missed twice.
Well, there you go.
Once when you were there, and once when you were gone. So
right.
So, reality versus expectations.
Well,
what did you think was going to happen versus what did you feel happened?
Well, I didn't know the coolest thing was the just the moose culture up there. Just everyone around that's what's going on that week. There's not a single person who's not aware that it's moose season. So you got your kids all dressed up in hunting clothes for school, and the news is like constant, moose watch on the news, and everyone's talking about the moose they got, and you're just listening for when your friends or family go on the radio and talk about their moose, and that was a pretty cool thing.
When I was driving up, I was wearing this sweater, and I was waved at by about 20 people. And that just, people wave, but like when I know them, not when I'm 4 hours from home. So that was kind of funny. Like every truck I passed, it was like, oh, hi, and I was like, hi.
Well, they were checking in the back of your truck too.
Yeah, just garbage.
Probably, yeah. That's the thing I told Jack. Like in the woods here, whenever you're driving and you meet someone, you wave your hand. It's just a polite thing to do because I don't know. My dad always told me, if you get stuck on the side of the road, you don't wave, they might not stop. It's just crazy thing. I don't know. I've always been waving at people we see, and the people helping each other out. Like we didn't get a chance to experience that because you were gone by the time we harvested our moose. But usually when you harvest a moose on the first or second day, you just drive around on the main roads. You go see people at their camps, have a few beers here and there, and then if someone kills, they know that they can come and ask you for help, and then you can go and move the trees around, lumbers, and cut the way there, and there's always something to do to help.
Yeah, you get to be involved in a few hunts that way.
Yeah, well, I was lucky in the past. I guess I was a better shooter back in my younger days. I don't know what happened, seriously. Like the first shot I took, it was far. I understand that it could have missed because you're taller than me by about 6 inches, and you barely saw the moose walking.
Yeah.
So you can only imagine when I got up on that stump and I looked down, the first thing I saw was the top of the antlers.
Well, it's not a huge stump either. It wasn't level. It was kind of wobbly. Yeah.
And when I saw it, I saw the head. I tried to figure out where the body was going to be, and I took the shot, and it went down. So I thought for sure I had it. Even you in your video.
Yeah.
I have it on my video as well, where you tell the people, he's gone to check if he's really dead before we go down, because we thought for sure he was down. We even heard him, all the branches, like he was trying to get up and he couldn't, falling, and I thought for sure it was going to go down there and was going to be there lying somewhere.
Yeah. Well, when the couple other shots went off, I was sure it's just that you found the moose and it wasn't quite finished yet, and you shot it a couple other times, but then Serge was talking about all the moose he was seeing in the corner, and got up on the stump, and I could see, like, it didn't translate to what was filmed, but I could see them because the sun was going into the trees, and I could see the moose going right up all through that trail. I saw 4 at one time, and that one really big moose stumbling, like the one you clearly put the hurt on it.
Yeah, and I don't like hurting animals without being able to find them. And when I went in the woods, I knew it was almost dark time, so I figured, I'm just gonna go and take a quick look to see if I can find the sign that he might have slowed down, or anything, he might be down. And when I got in, I looked at my watch. Okay, like I have to be out in 10 minutes, so I just circled around a little bit until I found some blood, and then I'm like, okay, it's time to get out. And then my cousin was like, well, you can't really leave him wounded like this. You have to go and look for him. Well, it's dark. You don't really want to go in.
We didn't have lights or anything.
Yeah, like I had a small headlamp from Dollar Store, and when I opened it up, it was like barely lighting the way. Like I could barely see where I was going.
Yeah, you're only looking for a wounded animal in the pitch darkness.
Yeah.
It doesn't want to kill you.
No, and you're not allowed to have fun. Like it's okay. Let's go and hope for the best. Yay! We followed blood for about a good hour and a half, maybe 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then we landed behind the camp. And the thing is, I set up both mark points, checkpoints on my GPS. I had one set up at the camp and one set up in the cutting. As soon as we left, I figured I'm going to put one waypoint here, and once we're in the woods, I'll just go to the closest one. And the closest one was a camp, but I didn't know it when I was in the middle of the woods. So I figured, okay, like it's dark, I'm cold, I'm wet. Even if I fall in the water up to my neck, like can't be any worse than that. So I'm just going straight. My cousin was behind me. I'm like, okay, follow me because I'm going. And ended up behind the camp, and we didn't get to find him. So it kind of sucked because I don't like hurting animals.
Well, no, and I mean, and that one especially, because that was a hell of a moose. I'm sure someone got it the next day, but
maybe you never know, because they're wounded. They might try to go out and cross the road at some point, and I don't know. It wasn't half as big as the one I saw on Friday night.
No.
Yeah. Oh man.
As much as I said, I hate hurting animals and I hate missing, and I know it happens. I will hate myself forever for it. I still remember that deer I missed in 2017. That was at least 12 points in higher. You just don't know what's going on. Like you're wondering, is it the gun? Is it me? Is it a bit of both? Was it the bullets? Was it just a bad luck? Did he die not too far and we just couldn't find him? Because I've seen it happen too. Like you heard a moose, he's going down. You go and look for him. You might be looking for like 30, 45 minutes, and then suddenly you turn around and he's right there. Like, how come we passed by him so many times and we didn't see him? He's right there. So that could have been another thing. He might have been close by and we just didn't see him.
Yeah. See, whereas next year we'll have the dogs trained up for blood tracking, and we'll have our courses online to teach other people how to do it with their dogs. But we'll bring a dog out. We'll go to where it was shot, to the blood trail, and we'll find that thing.
Yeah, that would have been awesome, especially if you had the dog, we probably didn't have to wait until Friday night.
Yeah.
So we would have had the moose on first morning or the morning after. But
so on the close call that I was there for, the only thing that was moving faster than those moose away from the gunshot was Serge running for the car. He was getting worried that it was getting dark quick, and he did not want to get lost.
And he keeps saying it like he's not shy. Like,
No,
I'm scared of the dark. You said
He's
it
like-
right off the back. I'm scared of the dark.
yeah,
I'm
screw that. I'm out of here.
Yeah. So it's nice to get the work done before winter. Okay, talking to Danny, same thing. Thank you, Maryland.
Thank you.
Channel.
We're having a weird thing happen with the moose video now, where we got a couple subs and then a couple people were like, oh, and then stopped, for unsubbing.
Yeah, we actually lost subscribers from the moose video, technically.
Yeah, which is because we had this big rush when it was that one Fiona video of mine where I'm just like needlessly panicking and like burning shit in the lawn, and all of it like blew up. I was like driving up to get him, and I'm just like, what is happening? I'm like, I don't understand. But we got all kinds of subs off of that, and then we put the moose video up, and they're like, ew, and like unsubbing all over the place.
Yeah, they subscribed for weather content. And then they're like, "Oh, why am I seeing like moose hunting?"
Yeah, and homesteading.
So I think we put a lot of work into that moose video, and we actually lost a couple subscribers.
Yeah.
But it was kind of inevitable,
It's gonna happen.
The way we got those subscribers.
It could still be really, in the end, subscribe, and just for some reason, like the way YouTube works, they remove them and then they'll be back. Like I've been up and down for a long time. I go up one, I go down one, and then suddenly I realize I'm up by 5. I'm like, okay.
Well, that's happened to me with your channel. Actually, I've gone to yours and it's like subscribe, and I'm like, excuse me, we've been sub to you for 2 years. Like it's twice. I think now it's happened. I think with you guys, and I think with Hickory Croft, it's happened too.
Yeah, well, you go, and then I think it's just a glitch, and it says subscribe, and then you're like, well, I should be already, and you click it, and I think you're actually unsubscribing when you click it.
Yeah,
there's something weird there.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm not sure.
Guess who's getting C's? I don't know. That's the word. Not talking to me. Thank you, John. Not talking to me. Have a few talking to Danny. Not talking to me. We had a sad morning. Our sheep had her babies. Just there.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Same thing happened with my rabbits. I have a doe that had kids for the 4th time, and only the 2nd time she was able to care for the babies the proper way. So it's going to be meat in the freezer.
Yeah. We have a pair of ducks that have done that. They're actually a bonded female pair, and they keep trying to raise out nests, and they hatched 3, immediately killed 2 of them. I think they stomped them to death. And then the next one, they were all proud and they're running around like, look at our baby, and then forgot to bring it inside, and it died outside overnight. And I was like, guys, what are we doing? But now we have the geese, so I hope that won't happen. We hope the geese will just parent everything. They've been parenting the ducks, which is really funny. We heard a strange dog bark the other morning, and I looked outside, and the geese herded all the ducks inside the barn, and then 4 of them stood outside the barn and just like watched to be like, where was that dog? It was cool. It was really cool.
Marilyn, we've talked about that in the past. I think it actually exists, but it's very expensive. But it would have been a pretty cool thing to see the moose running away from us or stopping at some point. Maybe it wasn't that far from where we were, but the thing is, we waited about an hour at least before we went back and tried to find the moose. Mm-hmm. And the second one, we waited for about 12 hours. We went the second morning, so
which should really be better. They'll bed down, they'll feel safe if they're injured, and they'll just stay there, and then hopefully that's where they die, as opposed to getting pushed further and further away.
Yeah.
You think you hear a moose though moving around? Like, that's the crazy thing.
You'd think a lot of things. You think we'd see a lot of moose. We saw a lot of tracks. There was moose everywhere.
Yeah.
We just didn't get eyes on a lot of them.
Well, even in that video, Jack's trying to point out all the moose, and I'm like,
I can see one black spot because I know where they were, and when I look in the video, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's 1 and that's 2 right there, and I know that the 2 other ones entered there. But you saw the pictures. I mean, Serge, when we got there, I think it was Monday night or Tuesday night, Serge had pictures from his girlfriend where a moose was in the parking lot of the Walmart.
Right.
Oh,
there.
you sent me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we had that. We had that when we got back. Well, Monday, someone in our community group, our local one here, was just like, "Oh, this road right behind us." They're like, "Oh yeah, Big Bull Moose is walking down the road," and everyone's like, "Oh, Survivor!" And I'm just like, so "You're telling me that I drove 20 hours last week for my husband to not get a moose, and there's one in the backyard? Like, is that?" I'm sorry, Jack's not on Facebook, so I get up to all kinds of shenanigans in the community group.
It always happens at this time of year for some reason. I think all the people going in the woods and starting to call and shoot everywhere. The moose get out and they're scared and they just run in all different kind of directions. And because there was one at the Walmart, and then Serge's girlfriend said she saw one in on the road going back home as well. And there was at least 5 different ones that were photos were taken in the city of Dalhousie, which is another 15 minutes the other way. That's the one I showed you where you see the bull and the cow doing their thing, and the little calf is behind watching them and wondering what's going on.
Well, we had one downtown Fredericton a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Just walking down Prospect Street. Just
Yeah.
going. I didn't see that one, but it was doing that stretch better than most of the cars do.
And I think that you guys have pretty much the same amount of moose that what we have deer up here, except that you're allowed to hunt moose. Like I've seen a few moose down there.
Yeah.
But up here, I mean, it's all about moose. Down there, it's all about deer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a ton of moose. I've never
one in the backyard.
I haven't seen one just driving around and noticed it or anything.
I don't want to see them when I'm driving.
I saw a young bull last fall on our trail cam. But everyone around here had been seeing the same young bull, so we're like, they're really not that common, but they are here a bit.
Yeah, when we're like right on the edge of like the French Lake, Gagetown area, so there's only like one more road past us, and then it's kind of open for a while. So I think we'd see some, but not a ton. Same with the bear, but we've got the landfill, so there's the landfill bear, but one of the subdivisions named him, and he got trapped this morning because he was breaking everyone's sheds, and I guess he got injured, and then DNR stepped in and they were like, okay, we're gonna come get him, and now everybody's sad. But I mean, he was gonna catch a bullet. I don't know, it wasn't gonna end well for this bear and subdivision. So
yeah, I got my bear tag I'm hoping to fill this fall. I don't know if you want to talk about your clerical issue or not, but in any case,
being cleared out.
Is it?
Is it okay?
Yeah. So, I always have my tags in my gun case because I never know when I'm going to use my gun, and that's the best place to put it because that way I know I will always have it with me. So I tell Serge, like after the moose was down, grab the tag and put it on the moose because you need to do that as soon as the moose is down. So grab the tag. And I never thought to mention that I had one for bear in there. So grabs the tag and gives it to the guy that was there. Like, okay, I don't know how to put it. Like, show me how to do it. So he goes and does his thing, and then take the moose and goes to the GNR to register the moose. Nobody there ever noticed anything.
It's
like
cool. It's got to be clearly checked there.
Yeah, like it was, and it was done with a black marker. Like it's easy to see. Was my name bear, and I mean even the tag number is different. So like, of course, the ranger couldn't have known by checking just a number, but I mean you have to take the number down, so you would think it would see that it was a bear tag on it.
I guess maybe they've never seen that happen.
So was it Tuesday? I wanted to go bear hunting. Well, I wanted to go harvest some apples with the kids, and I figured I'm going to bring my rifle because we're going to
harvest the bear underneath the apples.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want anything to happen, so I figured I'll bring my gun, and just in case something happens, I'll make sure my tag is in there. And I put my hand in. I'm like, okay, this is Serge moose tag. I'm like, what do I do? I can't bring the rifles. Okay. So, like, I asked a few people, like, what should I do? Should I go and tell them and risk of, being in trouble, or just ignore it and be like, whatever, and stop hunting? And everyone was just like, well, go and tell the truth. I mean, so I go there and I'm like, I don't want to make, like, trouble. I don't want to put anyone in trouble, but here's the tag, the moose tag that Serge registered last week. And the girl there is a girl that I went to school with. She knew me and she started laughing. She's like, I remember registering as Moose, so I know you're telling the truth. Just gave her my tag, and she's like, okay, I'll give you another one, and I'll take down the number, I'll take a few pictures, and I'll tell the guys to fix it up in the morning. So she called me around noon to tell me that it was fixed, and I just need to print my license back.
There you go. And she got your number out of it too.
But you were talking about how you don't have much moose down there in bears. Last year, if you've seen one of my videos where I was down there deer hunting on the Gagetown military base, I went face to face with a bear and face to face with a moose in the same day, one after another. Like I was trying to see where the moose went, and suddenly, boom, the bear leaves. I'm like, okay, like I'm not at the right spot if I want to hunt deer. There's not going to be a deer around here for sure.
Yeah. The only deer I've ever gotten, I got with a work van, and that was a mess. It was a big old mess. And I got a turkey. I got a turkey through the windshield, but we didn't eat that because it was pulverized. So I didn't get that. But the deer I hit wasn't dead, and it was dark, and it was a whole thing. And we had to call the police, and this was in Ontario. And the officer was like, no, I want this deer. And we were like, no, we want the deer. And then he was like, you can go home now. And I maybe couldn't provide registration for the vehicle. So I was kind of squirrely about it. So I was like, how about we just go home? And then Jack was like, no, I really want the deer meat. So we like called this guy's boss. And then we had to like meet up with this off-duty officer in the parking lot of a Sobeys to like exchange half a deer. It was an experience. Yeah. That's the only game I've ever managed to put on the table.
Yeah. I got the cop in trouble because he called his buddy before he even got there to be able to pick up the meat that was supposed to be ours as the driver. And I heard them call on the radio and say that we wanted to meet, but he already called his friend. So I got him in a bit of trouble.
Yeah. I could have been arrested for what I was driving. Like it was bad. It was not good. And Jack's here like, I want deer meat. And I'm like, stop.
It's like, I will take this to the highest level of government to get my tenderloin.
It was not good.
And here in New Brunswick, you can't do that. If you hurt an animal, it's too bad. You just have to go home and
they don't give you a tag for it?
You don't get it?
Nope.
What?
Nope. You hit an animal, unless you hit a grouse and nobody knows about it, you can just grab the grouse. But you hit a moose, you hit a deer, too bad.
I didn't know
because in Ontario, like, because they realize that you're just gonna like pack it up, anyways, right? So they say no one's gonna on purpose wreck their car to hit it. So they say you call them up,
but no one has moose protection either.
And then they'll register it and give you a tag in the off season for the deer you just hit. And most of it's going to be bruised and kind of wrecked anyways.
Yeah, we didn't get that much meat off it.
Yeah, well, even if you just grind the meat and get some hamburger out of it,
mm-hmm.
make sausage or whatever.
Yeah.
Going back to expectations versus reality, you told me when before you left, I didn't really expect to get anything anyway. Even after we said, I don't know how often, that it was almost a sure thing, and Serge was kind of mad at me because I said that. He's like, "You're gonna jinx us." Yeah. Well, that's the thing here. Like, we're gonna get our moose. We ended up having it, and we should have had it on Tuesday if it wasn't for me being a bad shooter. But you could see there was a lot of moose.
Yeah. There, everywhere we went, there was moose sign. We didn't go to a single spot and like didn't see moose tracks. We just didn't see moose either. So,
well, you've been on a bit of a streak this year of not contributing the way you want to hunt.
Well, yeah, I have a friend who took me out half a dozen times for grouse last fall, and or half a dozen or more, and every time just like nothing. Saw no birds. Maybe saw one flush out of the entire times we went, and by the end of it, he was feeling really bad because we kept going out, and he's kept talking about how he's going to find all these grouse. And when he went out by himself, he'd see like 15, and then he'd take me and we'd see 0. And then he got to the point that he was feeling bad enough, and I didn't make him feel bad on purpose, right? It's just you want to help, get the person their quarry when you're going. But he started taking me to like his really good spots, like his secret spots, because he really wanted me to get a bird and kind of show that he does know where these grouse are. And even in his really good tried and true honey holes, nothing. No birds at all. So that's why I was thinking I'm kind of a bad luck charm when it comes to hunting. And then, we get up to you with your guaranteed moose day one, and then it's deja vu all over again.
Yeah. Ironic, actually, ever since it's been a slow decline for you, because even when you went out for deer last year, you went out to the stand and all the deer came to the house.
Yeah.
Jack had to meet them. I'm looking out the window drinking my coffee. I'm like, oh, what a nice buck. 20 feet out the living room window. And then Jack's like, are you serious? What do you mean, what a nice buck? What? So then I spooked it, and then it went up, and Jack met it, and he got it then. But back home, you did pretty good. I mean, you were party hunting the one time, and you got 2.
Yeah.
Bam, bam, 2.
Yeah, there's the cool. Second year deer hunting and got 2. Because again, you're allowed to, in Ontario, it's a little bit different. So I could shoot, several deer as long as the group that we're in has a bunch of tags.
Yeah.
So I can shoot,
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I wish we had here in New Brunswick, because especially since Serge was not carrying a gun, and we only have one gun.
6 eyes and 1 gun.
Yeah, if you could have given the gun to you, one of us would have had a shot on that moose.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since you're taller than me, you would have had a better shot than me.
Yeah. Well, you could see them clear as day going up that hill. It was really unfortunate, because I didn't realize until you went down there, and maybe you didn't also. I figured it was fairly flat, maybe a little lumpy, but it was straight down. You got only 30 yards, and you started to disappear below the brush. You couldn't see anything.
Yeah. So you can only imagine the moose that was there was very, very big animal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a quick hi to Claude and Redbird Farm. Thank you very much for dropping by. Yeah. So, and I see Mike Caveman and Tracy just came in. So now you know that if we go deer hunting at your place, that we don't get anything, you don't have to feel bad.
There you go. Yeah. I'm gonna make it my mission to string you along.
Yeah. Well, there's 2 deer. When I came home just an hour ago, there were 2 deer crossing the street right in front of the driveway.
Is it the same 2? Is the young buck and a doe? There's 2 really bold young deer that are always here. One with antlers. So we're all gonna be going bigger, a little bigger. Yeah.
Okay, I'll take it.
Deer,
yeah, it's a good size. It's the better trade-off, a young buck, right? But yeah, there's that pair. There's lots of other deer. I see tons of trails by our apple trees in the night and stuff. But those 2 in particular, I've driven right up and within 30 yards on an ATV, and they didn't go anywhere. So they're just asking to get eaten.
I'm glad you like it, Tracy.
So if you're here opening day, we're all going to be going for that same young buck, basically. Try to get that one. See who gets that one, and then we'll see what else is around.
So how many different, you have 2 stands?
So we have
3 hunters plus you and maybe Lindsay.
Yeah, we have a tree house stand thing that's fairly comfortable. It's a lot bigger, kind of nicer than what I'm used to. It's kind of like a bench in it.
It's a little sketchy getting up the ladder if you're short like me, though, because there's a stretch of about 3 feet where you have just tree trunk, but you're 12 feet in the air. And you have to throw your shit up into the, sorry, I keep doing that. You got to throw your stuff up into the tree stand and try not to blow your head off. And then shimmy. It's a whole thing.
I need to build a better ladder or a staircase to it. I took a step ladder, an aluminum step ladder, and I ratchet strapped it to the tree about 2 or 3 feet up. So we could actually get up there. And
3 feet down.
Yeah. Nice. So there's that one, and that has a view of the field, and that's the idea, is you're supposed to kind of hunt the field from it. But all the deer when I was there came from behind in the thick brush. So that's kind of where I'd have my eyes, really. And then we do have a tree stand kind of up in the corner that overlooks the logging trail. Technically it's on the neighbor's property, but it is my deer stand. So he likes to go in there and sit in it for the view and stuff. But the trade-off is that, we get to hunt out of it. So from that location. So it's, it should be a pretty decent spot.
Yeah. And we can show you on the GPS when we get to planning point, where they're at kind of. And it's been cut. So their paths have changed a little bit, but it's, I guess 3 years now off being cut.
You might bump into them. I was thinking about how you might approach. You could come right down the driveway and you might see them there on the left in the field, and might be spooking right into there. you can go through the other entrance, the graveyard entrance, and there's tons of deer trails right around there by the apple tree.
Awesome.
You might turn the corner and your headlights would be right on a deer. So it almost makes sense to not show up too early. Show up exactly at shooting time, round that corner, or better yet, park in the on the road, run the 60 feet, and then peek around the corner yourself and see if they're right there before you pull in, because you might get one right away.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. Because honestly, the three of like you guys know that I lost a brother back in 2011, so it never happened that all of us got a deer together.
Right.
My two brothers and my dad harvested a few deers way back in the days before 2011. And I think back in 2014, I harvested one with my brother, but it's never happened that my brother and I and my dad harvested a deer. So if that happens, either one of us gets one, it's going to be beer night and party time, because like deer is my favorite meat. And I barely ever get to eat it.
And they're good here. Oh,
yeah, they're pretty
and
good.
Our station is it's less than a kilometer away, the way the crow flies. As it is, it takes 2 minutes to get there. Super reasonable. Like honestly, like we were gonna do it all ourselves, and I'm looking at his prices on the wall, and I'm like, no, we're doing this. I'm like, we're not doing this ourselves. We don't know what we're doing. Well, I mean, you've done it before, yeah, because you nearly dropped the deer head on Kenzie.
Yeah.
She was like 2 years old, and she was like walking underneath the table as they're sawing it, and then it starts to fall, and there's a toddler underneath the deer.
I can take apart a deer. I can get all the meat off of it and do various things. It's pretty rough, right? Like my cuts are not confident, so you get like, flaking because you cut it 4 times, and you miss the chunk, and then you've got a piece of like really nice meat that would have been better on a roast that's now just like floating and separate, so it's ending up getting ground, and so not efficient. But
we had to do it because there was only 3 butcher shops within an hour's drive of us that would do it, and all of them were backed up with hundreds and hundreds of deer. I mean, it was just here. I mean, you talk to anybody, and they're just like, "Oh, I can do that in my garage." I mean, it's like we just in Ontario, you're not allowed to do that. Like, not anybody can just do it. You got to be like a proper abattoir and a proper this and a proper that, and it costs way too much money. Like, it was really hard. And out here, I mean, it's just really cool. Like people just had the setup in the garage and they're just good to go. And I'm like, it's awesome. I love it.
We had the same issue with the moose. We had to call like 5-6 different places before we could find a butcher to be able to do the moose. And then depending on where you go, sometimes they skin it for you for an extra $50-$60, whatever. And some places they don't. So we ended up finding one butcher that could only take us the next day at 6 p.m. And we didn't really have anyone to skin the moose for us. And then like a friend of mine calls me and he's like, well, I can help you do it if you want to come and help me, and we can set it up here and gonna spend the night here and whatever. And I'm like, okay, like sure. I'll bring beer and let's go and do it together. And it turns out that this friend of mine that I knew him very well from school, but we haven't been really hanging around in the past couple of years. They're doing the homesteading life as well. They have a little farm, the pigs, the animals, the chickens, and turkeys, and they're doing some pressure canning and stuff. And I'm like, okay, like it's kind of cool because it turns out that they're friends. They're hanging around with a bunch of people that I just started to follow as well. Like Kristin, that was on my live stream a few months ago. One of my coworkers that gave me the salsa that we ate at the trailer. They're all friends and they're all hanging out together, which is pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Did you do you skin it manually? Yeah. Or did you? Because I saw like some people will take a rock and they'll put it into the skin and they'll wrap the rope around and the rocks down here, and then they use that to pull with a tractor or a truck or ATV or something.
Yeah, I've seen that done with the deer, but never with the moose. I would be afraid to shred the moose apart. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta mention that though. When you guys, so when I left Jack up with you, I had almost no plan for what I was eating, and Kenzie has very low expectations of my parenting, and ability to take care of myself, let alone her. So she was like, it's okay, Mom. I know you're stressed. I'm just going to make bagels. And I was like, you're the best. I'll eat leftovers. And then Jack came home and he started talking about all the meals that you guys made. And he's like, and the meat was just like falling off the bone. And then it was all mixed in with this and that. And I'm just like, I ate like bread. I like, and chips and stuff. I'm like, so I've made him now over the last week make all of those meals.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah?
you've been talking about it.
Yeah, so we did.
You better make it
the
for me.
the nacho dip.
I ate that for
and then
breakfast 3 days in a row.
with the meat. We used the venison for that, and then we did
So good.
the slow cooked roast with the gravy packets and the rice. Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. I'm glad you liked it, Tracy. It was fun. I wasn't so I guess you guys can probably see now what happens when we're separated and we're filming. And I'm all like stress and goals and, you know, serious, like, you know, and like all the B-roll stuff. And Jack's just like putting his hands in puddles and like, and he's trying to like explain this to me like through text, like while he's gone. And I'm just like, no wonder you haven't got a moose.
Yeah,
like, down in the ground and
you're
putting things
screwing
in your
around
mouth.
all day pretending you know how to track moose. If you spent half that energy looking for them, then you might even see some.
So yeah, that's my life.
Oh, it was fun. We laughed.
Yeah, made for a good video, anyways.
Yeah. Tell Sarah, thank you very much for being here.
But yeah, that's why our videos can never be fully serious. Jack's just not a fully serious person. Like you just can't.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. I have a question that I keep asking and I keep getting the same answer, but I just want to be sure, and I'm gonna see if you hesitate. So, Lindsay, did Jack have fun?
Oh yeah.
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 A lot of fun.
Right
Yeah.
on.
Like
I was hoping you would have fun because I didn't like. I mean, you don't want someone to come over and not enjoy it. Like I know some things happened while he was with us, and the hurricane was coming, and you had some stress going on there. It was easy to see, but I was just hoping. Like I mean, we drank beer and meals, and it was fun. Like we got to talk and got to know each other a little bit more, and Serge was there as well, and I'm pretty sure he enjoyed it, even though he's not really a big hunter. Like he said it a couple of times, like Serge was tired and was probably fed up. He might not say it, but he wanted to go home. But he stayed until the end, and we got the most in the end, and that's what matters the most.
Yeah.
Now you have plans on what you're going to do with the meat.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited. Oh my God. The last time I had moose was a family friend of ours who brought it back from a hunt in Newfoundland. And it was canned moose. And oh my God, like I'll never forget. It was so good and it was so tender and it just like fell apart and melted and it was amazing. Like I don't think we had it with a meal. I think it was just like out of the jar and it was fantastic. So that was that was the last time I had moose. It's been a while.
As far as not getting the moose while I was there and being disappointed or anything, I think it's not as big of a deal as you probably think it is. I assume I'm not getting it. Like again, it's like a long string of bad luck and years of going out for deer and sitting an hour and a half before sunrise to half an hour after sunset, many days in a row.
He doesn't give up
and not seeing deer and just like sitting there. Like at least this, we were driving around and doing stuff and got to go in for lunch and so it was a bit more dynamic and certainly more comfortable than sitting down beside a tree.
And don't worry about the footage because again, I wasn't there and all I'm looking at, like when I do videos, like I look at the footage and I kind of feel for something, then I grab music and then the music it all kind of tells me what happened. So when it got all crazy and sad and stuff, Jack comes out and he's like, what the hell is going on here? And I'm like, it's sad. And he's just like, but we weren't depressed.
I'm like, it really wasn't that sad. Like we took some creative license with that video to make it, it seemed pretty depressing, but
I would mean to say creative license. I mean, like for me, that's the artistic like angle of it, right? Like it's I want to bring someone who's never done that into what it might feel like in that exact moment when you're like soaking wet and you're tired and nothing's working and your wife's pissed because you're not home and like 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 that's kind of what it has to be more dramatic, because obviously if I just put 20 minutes of like standing and looking at Remy like walk through a field, people are going to be like, okay, and they're not going to grab the emotion attached to that, right? So I don't know, maybe it was a little thick, but I'm still learning. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, it was awesome. Like I love the videos you guys put up. Like I told you, I'm gonna watch it again. Like I have more than one account. I'm gonna watch it on. Like I have my work account, my personal account, and my Rims Family Farm account. Even though we didn't see a moose every day. I mean, I saw a bear on our way back. We stopped at the cutting behind the camp, the one way back, and there was a small bear down there. Like I could see a little black spot moving, and I'm like, okay, that can't be a beaver, not by the way it's moving. And then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna look in the scope to see what it is, because I figured it wasn't gonna be a moose because it was too small. But it was just a tiny little cub. Like at that point, I'm like, okay, let's hope the mother's not around. But it was barely moving. It was just sitting there. I don't know what it was eating. Maybe some raspberries, or maybe there was a carcass of a moose there. I don't know. I was looking in the scope and yelling and shouting and calling for moose at the same time and whistling, and it was just sitting there and didn't even bother with me. So I was able to capture a little glimpse of him on the camera, but it wasn't enough. And then we saw lots of grouse. I don't know if you see that many grouse in your area, but it was just.
Well, considering the places that we were, you wouldn't expect to see those numbers there. Like in the woods, on the trails, where it's a little thicker and more protected and all that, you'd expect to see them. But we're just on the roads, and there's just grouse everywhere.
When's grouse season?
Tomorrow.
Really? Oh.
I think that's why Willie was calling.
Oh yeah, probably actually. I want to go out for some bird. I have had luck with bird. It's been kind of an artificial situation since it's been for the training, right? But like I can blow a chucker out of the air without too much trouble.
Grouse is going to be about double chucker speed for sure.
Yeah, you think so?
Oh, they're fast.
Okay.
Yeah, they're and then of course we're in a field, right? When we're doing the chucker and the dog training stuff, the grouse are in the woods, right? So it's just like behind two trees, and then.
Yeah. Well, I'm best when I'm not thinking. If I'm not thinking about what I'm shooting, then I should hit it. Yeah. Which sounds really sketchy.
Well, and it gets to the point because you have you're out there hunting with the dog, and especially if the dog kind of knows what it's doing, you've been done it a year or so. You miss, and the dog doesn't even run after it knows you missed and just looks at you and says, I did my part. Why did you not hit that? So you have an audience all the time when you go hunting with the dog.
See, if we get a tag, we'll have to get a spotting scope, because we'll have to bring out my rifle. And there's no scope on that. And I don't think I'll be putting a scope. It's a little 4570. Awesome. I love it. But,
that'd be cool if you got your moose tag next year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I guess I didn't put in this year. I didn't know if I was going to have my PAL back or not. I waited until 4 days before my PAL was expired to renew it, which is stupid. I still managed to get it in like 4 weeks though. Yeah. So that was good. And Jack almost only left the gun in the truck once while I left somewhere. I was like, I wasn't going to check, and then I did. And I'm just like, that would be jail time.
So
let's not.
You mentioned that you didn't get your doe tag. Did your dad get one, or anyone else?
Nobody did.
So we're all looking for antlers.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
There are a lot of antlerless deer here, and I know in general that's the case, but there's again, when it was a deer parade behind me in the stand, I could see I checked at least 12 deer and no antlers to be seen. And then when they finally winded me and all the tails went up, there was a lot more than the 12, and I didn't have time to check for antlers or anything. But to be able to check 12 and not see antlers was crazy to me.
Do you have a backup spot?
Backup spot is just going into the next property, I think. I don't think it's posted, but you follow the deer trails, so you see a crossroads, and sit on a chair until they show up.
I can ask around too if anyone's got a spot.
Yeah.
I see Hickory Croft Farm is here. Chris and
Yeah.
Steph. Been a while.
I know. I was gonna say you guys have been busy.
Yeah, with baseball and homestead and the animals and so I was telling Jack, or maybe it would have been even Lindsay. I don't remember. My dad is kind of the person that wants to go in his own place. Like we're gonna be sleeping at an Airbnb because he wants to be able to come whenever he wants, cook whatever he wants, and not have to worry about anyone else.
Mhm.
And I mean that's okay. We're gonna be very, very close. I think we're only 5 minutes away.
Nice.
But if something happens that we don't harvest a deer on the first week,
Yep.
I know my brother, if he sees the amount of tracks, the amount of deers that you guys have there, he's
Yep.
going to want to go over and over again.
Yep.
Every weekend, he's going to ask me if we can go. So then it might be,
That's
I might be
fine.
inviting myself over, but we might
Yeah.
be
Fine.
sitting down.
Yeah, we'll have some campfires.
Yeah, it's a good. And we're set up for it too. If you did need to stay over, like it's fine. I mean, I won't be once I get the pantry done, but as of right now, we do have like the whole basement set up to be able to have people over. So it's a good
Well, worst
setup.
comes to worst, like I mean, we can always just sleep in the Jeep and go hunt where we were last year. So it's not like a real.
All good.
invitation.
We're that's something we're looking at for next year though, is we're putting together a bit of an overland build so that we can kind of go places and then not have to worry about the Airbnb and stuff, because it's harder with the dogs, right? Because when we got to bring dogs for stuff, then it's like, okay, I mean, the one would be fine, she's a perfect lady, and then the other one is a tornado and she's a little bit less portable. Yeah, can't really bring her places. She's got to be under our purview at all times. So yeah, we're gonna work on that this winter because we don't have enough things going on. We're gonna start more things because why not?
No, like I said, if we get a deer, like even if I just see one, it's gonna be more than what I've seen in past.
Yeah.
Last year, my brother shot one. We followed blood, just as the same as my moose. We followed blood for like about 2 or 3 hours, and then suddenly he laid down in the moss and got up at some point, and we lost him. We couldn't find him. And funny thing is, where I was in my video when I heard the gunshot, and I said, I think that could be my brother from the other road. We went all the way around, walked about 10 kilometers, and ended up right back where I was on the road. So I'm guessing the deer crossed the road there or hid not too far from there.
Deer are very sneaky, especially the older ones.
Mhm.
They really know the places that are safe, and they just they sneak around. They do a circle. They come up behind you. You go back to you see your tracks from earlier, and there's deer prints inside of them. Yeah, they're very good at evading.
Yeah. We had that monster buck at my parents' place where we used to hunt, and he evaded everyone for years and years. I don't know if anyone ever ended up getting him. He may have just died of old age.
Well, there's always a way to get them, but it's a matter of knowing. Like you have to put a lot of cameras. From what I could see, like I've seen, like my uncle and his nephew got it 17 points a couple of years back. Wow. And what they did was they put cameras all over the place, so they know where the deer goes. Yeah. And okay, let's say he's here at 7 p.m. It's dark, you can't hunt, but they know where it's gonna be 2 hours before. Yeah. And they know where it's gonna be 4 hours before, so they can try to cut straight there and sit there and wait for him to come by and hope that he does. I mean, they have like maybe a 7-day trip that they just go around, and you might not see them. They might smell you. They might hear you. You might be coming close and you sneeze and he's gone. But that way you bring your chances up to get him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We hunt archery as well. I mean, the only bow I have that could actually do deer, I wasn't able to draw it back when I got it, so that's embarrassing. I think at this point I can though. I just haven't done it. And you got to get that changed on your tags. In New Brunswick, you have to do the bow course, but in Ontario you don't. And I don't want to say proficient, but proficient enough.
Well, I
with the
hunted
bows.
with it for
Yeah.
2 or 3 years, but
Yeah.
so they gave me my license here, and I made sure to tell them that I bow hunt, and they're supposed to just give it to you. And she said yes, and that she's like, oh yeah, my boyfriend bow hunts, so that's definitely important. I'll make sure that's on there. And they give me the piece of paper, the temporary, and the summary or whatever, and it just says gun on it. And I don't know what it's supposed to look like. I don't know that I was supposed to say bow there beside. And finally, I saw some ones that said bow, and I'm like, oh, they messed up.
Yeah.
So I got to go
we
in
have
there.
the number though. We just haven't called.
So I got to call them and show them my Ontario one and tell them they messed up. And hopefully, I really don't want to take a bow course. I already have to take a 16-hour or 17-hour trapping course to shoot a raccoon. So
Yeah, I have a bow and I need to take my course, but it's just never happened around me.
You really got to be practicing so much with them to be any good. I mean, it's rough. I'm better with the trad bow than I am the recurve.
You really don't have to practice that much for a compound bow. They kind of
compound. That's what I meant.
They kind of go where you aim it.
If you can.
If you're consistent enough, like if you're doing wildly different things, it's not going to work. But because I was using the longbow, a recurve before that, but and then trying to even switch to not even aiming with that and trying to do it instinctively, and you can do it. It works pretty well, surprisingly, if you're shooting a lot. But if you skip a week and then go back to it, you kind of have to relearn. It's really hard to keep it up.
Yeah, so we got to get back into that for sure.
The fun thing about that bow is it was my brother's bow and he's left-handed. So I think it goes that way where you aim with that arm and you just let go. But
that would be left.
Usually both sides. If I play baseball or I don't think I would be better this way than what it would be this way. Like, I don't know. Yeah. To me, it's just the same. So it might be all right.
Yeah.
For me, it's my eye. Like, my eyes are garbage, but my right eye is better. So I have to do right-handed for everything. The shooting, I'm right. Bow, I'm right. I mean, golf, I'm right, but that's not because of my eyes, I guess.
Now, we brought up bear, and I've had this conversation a couple times recently. How would you rate bear meat?
I've never had any.
I
was hoping to have some this year for the first time.
Okay. Yeah, because I've had it, and people talk about it quite a bit too, and it is good, and it's got a different flavor to it. So even just the novelty of it, I think, is something, because you eat a lot of venison, and then bear is something a little different. But I don't think it's as good as venison. If I had bear sitting there and venison sitting right beside it, I'm going to grab the venison every single time. So for me, and even people say, "Oh, it's really, really good." I'm like, "Well, sure, but not quite as good as venison." So I'm still going to grab the deer meat.
Deer is hard to beat. My favorite as well.
Yeah,
it's really good.
And at least with the bear, you get the rug if it's a good quality coat on it. So you get one good rug out of it, and then all that meat. But I don't think after I get the rug and I finish eating that bear, I don't think I'm going out the next year for bear, unless I see one really nice around or something. But I'm not gonna go out of my way looking for it or anything.
I think boar is my favorite.
Boar?
Yeah, I think wild boar is my favorite meat, actually.
Yeah.
We don't have them around here yet.
Thank God.
Yeah.
They are not what I want. I'd rather go on a trip to go get them and then come back. But yeah, I think that's my favorite, actually. And pheasant, I really, really like pheasant a lot.
Yeah, that's a pretty good bird. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we know a guy, so we have lots of pheasant whenever we want.
Yeah, that's Tracy's saying this is a tried and true way, right? You build up the muscles again quickly, and you get a lot of shots in, and then if even psychologically, if you know that you're going to take 3 shots, you don't focus as much on that first one. You have to go from cold muscles, having not shot at all, to 1 shot that counts, and get good at that. So
yeah, it's hard. I started archery when I was 6 years old. I've been doing it for a super long time, and I'm you get out of it, and it's really hard, But I'm gonna get back into that.
Mm-hmm.
So Serge told me that we should get about roughly 435 pound of meat. That's roughly mean, we can lose some pieces here and there, and you never know, the bones, maybe less. I don't know. So he already had a deal with one of his friends that he was going to give him a quarter of what we get. So we take the 435, split in two. It's like roughly 215, 217. I get 217 and split with you. When I asked Sal, I said, look, Jack was not there the whole week, but he was here with us for the first 4 days. You already said that you were willing even to pay for the following day, but we're not gonna go there. I'm like, how much you want to give him? He's like, I'm giving half to my friend, half for myself, and you take your half and do whatever you want with it. So I'm gonna give you whatever I have. I'm gonna split it in two. If I get 215, 200, 210, 185, whatever, it's gonna be split in two, and you should be able to get at least 100 pound of meat. Hopefully, I'm guessing like 105, 106, 107, somewhere in there. We're going to need your address before it happens. No problem.
That's a big deal for us. We have not been buying our meat, and we bought that one roast so we could make that meal that I wouldn't stop. Jack was like, I need you to make it, and we haven't. That's the first piece of red meat we've bought in a year, and I couldn't believe the prices. Like they're crazy. I mean, it's a really big deal. That's huge.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well, and we have to start looking up sausage recipes. That's my big thing. It's like I know there's lots you can do with moose meat, but I want some moose sausage.
Awesome. So, well, it's not something that we eat a lot here. Hamburgers, pretty much what goes by very quick. A few roasts, a few steaks. Like usually when I get the moose here, first night I'll watch a hockey game. I'll put some steak cooking and some French fries, and that'll be my lunch before I go to bed. It's kind of a tradition. It's not really the best meal to go for when you go to bed, but it's once in a lifetime, I guess. Well, not every year. Yeah. Maybe not every year, but often. I'm usually lucky enough that if I don't get my tax, someone will bring me along, or someone in my surrounding will have plenty of meat that they can give me a few steaks at least.
That's awesome.
Well, we got to get our smoker going, because not only are we going to try to make sausage, which will be a new thing for us, we're going to try to smoke it, which will also be a new thing for us. So there's a lot that could potentially go wrong or mess it up entirely.
It's so hard. That is something I don't think it comes across in our videos, but like me especially, the language, terrible, so bad. Like people will like swear in front of Kenzie and then be like, oh, and then I'm like, have you met me? Like she can use that word appropriately in 8 different ways. Like it's not great, and I get to edit all that out with the videos, and then we go live, and then I'm just like, oh, and it's actually really challenging for me not to swear all the time. And apparently I'm rubbing off on you, because here you are dropping F-bombs everywhere.
Yeah.
It's it's not great. But in the hunting vein, that is something that we've been discussing recently. We're kind of looking at all the things that we've done this year, all the things that we wanted to do, and then the things that we're finding that we want to do more of. And I think we're actually going to go more in the hunter-gatherer direction and less in the traditional farming direction. And we're trying to find that balance, and we're trying to figure that out, because the feed bills, like we just went off of having like 400 birds to down to having what, like 190?
Probably about 100
or something. And we need the birds we need, but we're kind of looking at how we can make all that work for us a little bit better, and how we want to do it. And we both want to do a lot more of the hunting, a lot more of the gathering. We didn't have these opportunities so much where we used to be. We had some of them for sure, but not like here.
And still the garden for the staples.
Oh,
it's hard to beat, the tomatoes and potatoes and peppers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Breakfast this morning was tomatoes, potatoes, and eggs.
And squash. Don't want to forget about squash here.
We didn't grow any squash.
Well, we
tried.
We had the squash beetle pretty bad right when it was kind of starting to go.
We had the stress out and ignore the garden for 2 months really bad too.
Yeah, well, we got a lot of food out of it for having that for neglecting the watering situation. Yeah. But
we had a crazy couple months here that was unrelated to the homesteading, which kind of derailed a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, we basically ignored the garden completely, and we got all those buckets.
Well, there's a lot
Like,
more coming too. There's a lot sitting there outside. Lots of onions and still probably 4 or 5 more 5-gallon buckets of potatoes. And
yes, Marilyn, we are.
we want to try canning the potatoes because we like to make mashed potatoes. And my thought is that's a good way. You open the jar, you strain it out, and you smush it with your dairy and cheese or whatever, and
all the dairy,
and then heat it up, and you got mashed potatoes. So
yeah,
that's on our radar. We're gonna see about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fun thing is that hunting is usually in the fall. Like here anyway, the garden is pretty much done. Hunting starts tomorrow, and I've been harvesting carrots since this morning, and I still have a lot there, but it's the only thing left. And if something happens that I can't get to them, they're still going to be all right in the ground. So it just all falls in like.
And it does, and that's the coolest part. And like I mean, like what you hunted right to the end of February last year, and then it was March, and we were starting seeds. I mean, like it all just kind of went, which is really, we want to do a lot more of that. And the fishing, we didn't like.
Yeah, still
the ocean stuff. That's crazy.
Well, being able to go out in the winter, for snowshoe hair, wearing snowshoes, and the fact that the winter is milder here than where we just were by a lot. So it was a nice break from horrible winters, and then being able to get outside and with the snowshoes outside of the house, which in the past has been a challenge, and it really helped to kind of fly by. But yeah, at the end of February, finally you're done hunting for rabbit, and then it's March, and you're waiting 3 weeks or whatever. But you're kind of at the end of March is the potential of thaws that last a little bit longer. So you're starting to see grass again, and get excited for spring. So it really, the winter wasn't that bad last year. I'm hoping for the same this year.
We got snow until like the beginning of May. It was insane here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were lucky down here. We're close. We're not. I guess we're not closer to the ocean, but we're closer to a warmer part of the ocean.
There was a thaw, like a melt of the snow every month through the winter last year.
I don't think we've ever had that, even when we were in Niagara.
That was wild for there to be a temperature that went above above zero. Is just weird for us. We're used to like there's a good two plus months of it's just below. It's staying frozen. What snows stays there or blows in. Yeah. But that wasn't the case last year, and hopefully it's the same this year.
Yeah.
Well, so down near Moncton, Fredericton, St. John is usually warmer than what we have up here.
Yeah, we're gonna go see Patrick this weekend. Patrick's in Moncton.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, we're gonna go see Patrick. We're gonna try to get down to the conference next year.
That would be awesome.
That's part of the overland build too. Like we're really we're taking the whole self-sufficiency thing, like maybe to the extreme in the other direction. And we're like, okay, like how do we travel and actually see people? How do we travel and hunt? How do we travel and do that stuff? And I mean, we're lucky in that we're self-employed and we're homeschooling. So that takes that part of the out of the equation, but we have a farm and we have 7 dogs. So it makes it a little harder.
7 dogs, 5 in geriatrics.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But and the thing is, you guys don't know much people around here that could go and do some chores for you guys. It's not like you have a family around.
Our neighbor would, and he's the sweetest, and he definitely would. And we do his chores for him when he goes, but he has 4 chickens.
Yeah, he's got a little coop, and we help him with his chores. But I'm like, I don't know how many years we need to do this before we can ask you to do ours.
I mean, ours are just so much more. Like, it's just so much more, and that doesn't even touch like the elderly dog chores that they need things every 4 hours. I mean, it's I don't know. We'll see on that. We may need.
The conference is only really for one day, so like one day to travel, one day to get back, like maybe 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, I mean, I made that drive, so I made it down to Mallory Town from here in 11 hours when I went down in May.
But there's no way that the conference is just going to be the conference. There's going to be like the pre-party, the pre-party. There's going to be the after party. There's going to be the after party. There's going to be the last holdouts who just going to Mary Lynn's house without asking her.
Yeah, and then you want to go and visit the homesteads from the people who've been friends with for a long time.
Yeah.
Chris, how much pound of squash you think you're gonna get? The doom cannot compete with squash. And then another thing begin. Yep. Yep. You got to get that done, Tracy.
Yay! Yeah.
Snowboard guy
Oh,
came to the
no.
paid from his pocket to finish next year. Hope for a winter over.
Ooh.
It's usually what happens when we have a long winter. For us, we got the letter last week, just before I left for the woods, actually, and it's gonna be an extra $150, I think, for the year.
Wow.
Which is not that much when you count the amount of times that it comes.
Yeah.
But it's still $75 extra that I don't have right now.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have to find.
Him and squash.
Yeah.
Here's some squash and some moose. That's what I was gonna do if he couldn't get back if I couldn't go get him for the hurricane and it was gonna get really bad. There's part of our barn roof wanted to lift, and I can't climb the 20-foot ladder with a drill that I couldn't find by myself. And I'd already had to walk Kenzie through like what to do if something happened to me, like falling down the stairs would, and she needed to go get the neighbor. So I was gonna pay somebody in jam and venison. I was gonna like jump on the community group and be like, hey, I need someone to come hold the ladder for me, because I was gonna have to get that down if the hurricane changed.
Talking about the snowblower, our last driveway
Yes.
was a lot shorter than the one we have now. But it was uneven. We got a box blade and kind of fixed it a bit, but like the drifts were so bad and the snow was so dense because it would drift in, that I would run through. We had to buy shear bolts in bulk. So we had like 30 shear bolts on hand, and I'd have a pocket full of them every time I went and snow blowed, because you'd hear it and it would just like it would get into a thick patch of snow, and it would just blow, and I'd have to stop and with my frozen hands attach the new shear bolt on there, and you'd go another 10 feet and another one would blow, and
then we'd run out, but we couldn't get out of the driveway to get new ones, so we'd have to call the tractor place for them to puro new ones to our house and then call us so that we could walk out and get them.
Yeah.
It was a disaster.
Yeah, and then
terrible.
dig out the tractor enough to be able to back up, and yeah, so I was expecting worse because the driveway is about 4 times as long.
Easy.
But again, it was just nice. It was a nice chore when it's not horrible and filling in right behind you. So we would snow blow it and it would stay snow blowed. I think I only did it 4 or 5 times last winter, snow blowed the driveway.
Nice.
Not a ton of times.
Most of the time I just drove up and down it and was like, there, that's good.
At our last place, you'd have to do it every like 3 days.
Minimum.
Yeah.
Even
all winter.
Yeah. Hickory Crop, you guys should go into that brewery.
Brewery.
I did a video on it and I had all kinds of questions. When I said we did YouTube, they were just like, my God, we love YouTubers. And they got like really excited. Yeah, it was really cool. You should definitely go check it out. It was, they were really nice, and they've got all their hops set up and stuff. It was really neat.
I'm being told that I'm picking up in little bits of Eastern accent. People are making fun of me back home now. The way I say certain words, I guess.
Did he speak to you in French, Lindsay, when you got back home?
No.
I didn't bust out any French.
No.
We even taught him some words. Like, you have to try, Jack. Do you remember?
Renard. Or Fox.
He told me he was proud that he could roll his R's.
C'est bon.
That was about it.
Good.
Yeah. What else? What was? I remember what we jokingly called the cuttings.
Boucher.
Yeah.
You said Boucher.
Boucher or Boucher?
Boucher.
Bougie Woods.
Yeah. Tell them that the hunters stop looking at her Bucci.
I can read French well enough to get by, but that's not because I can speak French well at all. It's because I have a Latin background, so I can do that. But to actually hear it, I'm just like, I have no idea. But like, I don't know.
It's a different.
We really liked it up there. Like when we were driving from where you were to Bathurst, and the Jack talking about all the footage and all the stuff he saw, and I was just like, did we end up in the wrong area of New Brunswick? I'm like, I think we might have, like, he's like, but we don't have any French. And I'm like, but people don't seem to care that much. I'm like, I think we'd figure it out. Like, I think we'd be okay.
Yeah. The growing zone where we are is nice, though. It was a nice upgrade because we were 4A. We jumping up to 5A. Like that, as soon as you get into 5, it's a massive difference in what you can grow and how the winters are. And yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's a huge difference from here to your place for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny because like we're in a couple groups about people moving to New Brunswick from other provinces and stuff, and people always come in and they're like, "What's the what's the weather like in New Brunswick?" And we're like,
"New Brunswick's a pretty big place. Got quite a range in how it is."
It's not the same if you go up or down.
No, I mean like, and there's zone. I mean like we saw that there's zone 2 to 6. Like that's massive. That's a huge difference, and like the microclimates and like what the ocean's doing at any point. I mean,
that's like tundra to like orchard.
I remember coaching kids in soccer, and we would be able to start playing outside like at beginning of May, and down in Moncton, they'd be playing outside since February. Like you can't compete with them. Plus, they're a way bigger city than what we have here. So.
Oh no way. Hickory Croft. I didn't realize I was that close to Hickory Croft. Man, I would have reached out. I knew you were like that area-ish, but like I didn't know for sure. And we were super crazy busy too. But I'll have to message you about that. I don't want to like give out a whole bunch of info on the internet because it's like a small area. But I was like right in there.
I think they upgraded everyone's zone. It says you went from a 6 up to a 6A from a 5B. With the global cozying of the climate.
Oh,
so
right. Yes.
I think everyone got a little boost.
6A.
Which is great for everyone in north of Texas.
Yeah.
And Marilyn, I think last year I paid close to $800, and now it's like $950 for the year. And that's pretty cool that Chris and Steph live so close to the brewery you're talking about.
Yeah. That's a lot of money for snow blowing.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
we get like 2 storms a week.
Oh my God.
Plus he has to come to open the driveway in the morning before I go to work because I gotta go to work no matter what. Yeah. And then like the wind is so bad here that even after the storm is done, he has to come at least twice to open the driveway again.
Sounds like where we were.
Yeah, I mean, if he's showing up 15, 20 times,
maybe
that's really not that much.
No, exactly. Yeah. And I think I'm zone 4B or maybe 4A. Depends. Like the line might be just down there somewhere. I don't know. Yeah. I wish it was zone 5.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. We were blown away.
Well, for fruit, especially.
Blown away by it.
The amount of varieties that are available as soon as you hit 5. It's just huge.
Yeah, no, that was wild up here. I'm going to grab you a water.
East to west, either maritime or continental. And would you say your Italian zoo need a lot of heat? The snake gourd we use for that recipe seems to need a bit longer growing time than squash, but not much squash. But then just went crazy and transplanted. I wish I was zone 5 too, Marilyn. No worries. Just to give you a little preview of my Shed Wars activity, Chris, let me check quickly. I am sitting at, well, I thought I was lower than that. I am sitting at 214 pounds of squash since the beginning of the year. 156 squash. I have a lot of yellow squash. That's the one that we had at the trailer jet. And have a few butternut squash and a few squash that I don't even know about.
You ever been tempted to leave a little bit more stem on there just for a little bit more weight? Harvest right after a rainfall?
Well, I guess that's the best way to preserve them is to keep a little bit more at the tip of the squash. That's what I was told anyway. All the peach possibility. Yeah, in zone 5 you can grow peach. So need them to Full ripe to use, just like zucchini. That's great. Yeah. I think you would need them to be fully ripe to be able to harvest the seeds, though, because the ones I harvested and cut, there's no way I could keep the seeds.
Oh, cold now.
I'm just gonna buy some more. Like, I mean, I know the yellow squash is a big success here and pretty good. I eat squash any different way. Like, I'll eat it raw in a snack when I go to work. I'll fry it in a pan. I'll cook it in the oven. Um, it's just so good. I had French fries today with squash. I love it.
Was that a patty pan or something else?
It was butternut squash that I put in the fryer.
I love butternut squash. I do a really good, if I say so myself, I do a really good butternut squash soup. That's basically the entirety of how we use it, but we could use that like every week in the winter. It's really good. Use apples sometimes too.
Yeah, a stew or a butternut squash soup or something after being outside in the winter, hunting for snowshoe hare all day, and you come back and you get a big bowl of that. And
Yeah, it must be good.
there are nice things about the winter.
I intend on making a few stews with the moose meat.
Yeah, I love stews. And we have so many potatoes now. Oh my god, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Something awesome.
How much potatoes did you grow?
We
Lots.
didn't even. We probably would have got a lot more if we mounded them. It was on the list. Never ended up happening. But I went and took a little section up and dug it out and got a 5-gallon bucket of russet potatoes. And based on how much I lifted and how much is still there, I think I've got 4 or 5 more buckets. So 5 or 6 5-gallon buckets of potatoes.
Which is probably 20 times the bag that we planted. Like
It was a fairly small, it's a fairly small bag of
a small bag,
seed potatoes.
a cat-sized bag.
That's pretty good.
Cat-sized.
Yeah. But yeah, I could see how if we mounded it, I think that probably doubles your yield because they like to be fairly close to the surface. And you mound it up, I could see that it would do a lot more.
The only thing is one squash do a lot of soup. After 3 bowls a week, I have enough. I never have enough squash. Hi, kitty.
It's my heart.
It's worth a try at least. We are hoping for seeds from it. Yeah. Cool. So, how confident are you that we're going to get a deer?
I'm as confident as you are about the moose. I think there are deer here. There's lots of tracks. I assume that sunrise especially, but even sunset, they're moving around. But especially sunrise, I think they're probably back there in view of the stand, or they're at the over by the apple tree right at the entrance. So I think you should be seeing deer for sure. Whether or not you see the antlers you need is a different question.
I need to make sure
hopefully we get some deer right away.
How big is our zone? Like if we had to go to closer to base, we could do that, couldn't we?
I'm not sure where
because again, like it's not far from here where it just all opens up. Again, what that means, I don't know.
Yeah,
I need to try if it's possible to hunt there or not. Yeah. You guys hear like the grenades and stuff they shoot at the military base?
Yeah,
when they bring out the big guns. Yeah.
So I grew up 5 minutes from base boarding, so you'd think that I would be completely used to all of it, and most of it I am. I don't even hear it. I really don't. But what is the big one they were shooting off last fall? It's the one that's louder than like 25 rock concerts is like the definite or the measurement. I don't know. It's extremely loud. And every single time it went off, I was like, what's going on? Like it was like a gravel truck, like crashing into the house or something. It was ridiculous. Like I've never, and I mean, we had helicopters like crash on the property that I grew up on. Like
you don't want too many people to move here.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of weird because I was hunting there last fall, and you're walking in the woods, and suddenly you just hear like a plane coming by, and you're like, okay, like it's normal military base, a plane, and then suddenly it's just like boom, and you hear like the big noise, and the herd starts shaking, and you're like, okay, like, am I gonna see a deer in that condition? Like,
Yeah, you walked into the wrong zone and you're gonna get blown up.
well, yeah, especially on the like, they told us if you stay within the roads, you should be fine. So we were allowed to hunt. Yeah, no, but I mean, unless you go and go on the other side, you'll be all right.
Hickory Croft, are they about the cougar that don't live there? I got some stories about that one too. Oh God. Yeah, no, I was 5 minutes down from the Lyle entrance. Like not even. So we were like right there. Like I did all of my everything after school, like swimming, gymnastics, everything on base. All that. Which was interesting right after 9/11.
I said 7 a.m. for most, Marilyn, and it ended up being the last day. So I'm gonna aim for the last day and maybe be closer to the first day. There has to be something wrong with the gun I had. There has to be. Like, I'm gonna check it out because it doesn't make sense.
Is it the same one you're using for rifle?
I was
rifle. It is rifle for deer.
I'm not gonna use the same.
Okay. Because if your scope might have gotten knocked, I mean, that's something that I could look at. We used to have to do that at work all the time. I'd have to buy like one piece, but we need it anyway. So that's something. I mean, if you wanted to bring it down, it's.
But my dad said he was going to change the scope. He's just going to change it. Like he was looking at it and he's like, there's like little. It's a little bit blurry when you're looking at it.
Is it a Bushnell?
If what?
Is it a Bushnell?
I'm not sure. I don't remember. It could have been a cheap one.
Okay. Yeah, because they have a way of working for like a dozen shots and then not ever again.
They said he was going to get a new one. It used to be my uncle's gun.
Yeah.
So it's going to end up being my brother's gun at some point, and I'm going to end up with my dad 3006. But I'm going to be hunting with 3006 when I go down there for deer hunting. Yeah. It's pretty much the same gun. It's just 306 instead of 308.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, the signs are pretty scary. Like you drive through and it's just like, do not get out of your vehicle. And you're like, okay. Try not to have an emergency. Like,
what happens if I have to pee? I've been pretty much all over that base. Lots of interesting stuff. Yeah, and one of the things, I don't know how deep you guys are into foraging and stuff. Jack can testify to that. There was so much lobster mushrooms. It was insane.
Oh, that would have been so good. I'm in one of the New Brunswick mushroom groups, and I've seen a bunch of those, and I'm super jealous. We got to look in ours. Mm-hmm. I don't know what we got, though.
Lobsters are pretty easy to identify, and there was a lot. The chanterelles, once you get to know them, they're pretty easy to identify as well.
Yeah.
I'm starting to learn a few more. I'm hoping to be to have enough knowledge to be able to harvest whatever I want when I want. But it's just the first year, so I prefer asking to be sure. But I'm good with chanterelles and I'm good with lobsters.
Yeah, we got to see with the morels if we have morels here.
Yeah, I mean, like we'll take a look.
I know, really.
I'm used to looking for them in hardwood forests, which are few and far between in this province. So I'm used to like just it's pure hardwood, mature enough that it's starting to get spaced out a little bit. There's not much undergrowth, and the trillium's just starting to pop up, and there's lots of light trickling right down to the ground, and then that's where I find morels. So I'm sure there are morels here. I just don't even know where to start looking.
Yeah, I know there's some around, but I've never heard of anyone in my area that was actually able to find some. So from what I hear, they're all down in your place.
Yeah.
Oh, good. We'll have to look then.
Yep.
Yeah. And if you don't feel confident, you could check with Jessica Gauvin. She speaks English. She's down there somewhere. She's offering courses that you can take foraging.
I think I've seen those. They're in the New. They posted that in the New Brunswick homesteading group.
Maybe, or at least in the New Brunswick mushroom foraging group.
I'm in so many groups. I don't know what anymore.
But if you see me, she's offering courses, and she'll send you some documentation, some videos, and then she can go for a few walks with you guys and show you the different kind of stuff.
Cool.
And the little red berries that I found, Jack, that I don't know if you remember, I was talking about that. They're actually very, very toxic. I knew they were toxic. I'm like, I don't think any good red berries.
Yeah.
So were you guys just tripping in the woods? You ate some random berries, and that's why you didn't get any moose?
Yeah, we thought we were checking all these places. We just kept checking the same field.
You're actually jumping in the trailer. You're like, moose is rad this year, guys.
Well, I remember the berries because you came over and you said that you found it and you didn't know what they were, and I asked you what they tasted like, and then you were surprised by that question.
Yeah,
Like, I have not gotten that far.
I don't know. Thank you for being here, Tracy, and good night.
Looking forward to seeing you
in May,
in the spring. Yeah.
So hickory crop, just what you said there about the base. All the tree fields around that base that basically border it. I possibly planted a whole bunch of them. There was quite a few times that we were like hanging out there, like right on the edge, and you just be like hanging out having lunch, and all of a sudden all these military trucks are going by, and you're like, oh god, because you just think it's a forest, right? You kind of forget there's a road there, and it's not that big of a base. But yeah, we were like right there. Right there. Don't start The Hobbit. Martin the Hobbit? I'm jealous.
He went to bed late a couple of weeks back because he started The Hobbit and then Lord of the Rings.
All in one night? Oh dear.
He watched all 3 Hobbit movies and all 3 Lord of the Rings movies.
Probably not in a row.
That would take you till morning.
I've done that twice this year. I'm probably going to do it again when Rings of Power is done.
Well, all the extended Lord of the Rings movies, aren't those like 2.5, 3 hours long or something?
3 and a bit.
Depending on, I think the first one is only like 30 minutes, and then the second one is like an extra 45 minutes, and the last one is like an extra hour.
Yeah.
I've been on the other side of the fence there. I know where you mean.
Yeah, them sandy fields. Yeah. Actually, that field, that's the time that I got my hand stuck in the planter. That was the shepherd. We were planting Christmas trees in the planter, and I was wearing an actual ring instead of a silicone ring, which is a big no-no on a tractor. And my hand actually got stuck in the thing, and it pulled me down in. And the way those planters work is it's a big plow that opens up and a blade, and then these 2 big wheels that close it again, and it's super dangerous. And I got stuck in the thing, and it like yanked me out of my seat, and I'm hollering for the driver to stop, and it was a whole thing. We had to get the ring taken in. They were like, "What are you doing? Why are you wearing this?" Like, now I wear silicone rings.
Maybe just the one last subject I'd like to touch with Jack and Lindsay. Maybe you can get on board as well. When we were driving around, you'd be looking around and be like, this reminds me of Ontario, where I used to go, and this reminds me. So the forest is kind of pretty similar from what you used to see.
Yeah, I noticed that about the province in general, but it was Northern Ontario is not that different than a lot of New Brunswick as far as how the trees are and the rock faces kind of cutting through stuff. I do think Northern Ontario isn't quite as hilly as a lot of New Brunswick is, but you certainly don't have a lot of the cool, almost mountains, or I don't know if they're
mountains.
There's a couple of them are named mountains and some of them are perhaps called hills, but they're, small mountains, large hills, something.
Is it not part of the Appalachian Range? Like, technically?
I don't know.
I thought it was.
Well, we got Chris here. I'm sure he'll tell us.
Remy lives in the middle of the mountains.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned that while I was there, that parts of it reminded me of the Yukon. Not that it was exactly similar. The Yukon it's more conifer heavy. So less hardwoods in general, but just the general feel of the area, and even to an extent down here, where it's just wilderness and everything is cut out of it. Even the shopping malls, the strip malls and stuff, you can see that they carved out an area and put it in a strip mall, as opposed to nature being the exception, where like it's all us, all human activity, and then they like replanted a few little areas. And I do realize the whole province has been, replanted by now, but it still feels like a forest, a young forest, but still a forest. And everyone who's getting their houses built, they're carving little corners out, and they're building little houses along the roads, and then a new road pops up and the little houses in there. So there was a lot like the Yukon, at least in the 90s when I was there. It's cool to kind of go back to that, because I know being in Ontario for so long, and it's not that way. Everything has been seized by someone, and it changes hands, but it doesn't feel the same. And then also just the fact that it's in the way that you can hunt here, where you can just go in to the forest is a different thing also. So everything feels a bit more large and accessible. Whereas in Ontario, like, okay, there's some forest there, but you're not allowed in there. You can't go over there. There's no way. You got to find out who owns that and then ask them, and they're going to say no.
And we were incredibly fortunate where we were, because we had access to several thousand acres of land that other people didn't have access to. But even then, it was like, okay, this farm or this farm or this farm were kind of the options, right? You couldn't just be like, that place looks cool, and then go in there, right? And like for me, I grew up near Borden, and then I did a bit of traveling down like the eastern seaboard and stuff in the States. And then I met Jack and we went to Niagara, and then we went back to Borden area, and then we came out here. So that's been my like whole experience. Coming out here is just completely different. And I mean, it's amazing, because everything I've ever seen, it's been like the GTA basically, and then the American version of the same thing. So it's pretty cool.
So a lot of private property in Ontario, it's pretty much the same down in your area. That's why I think there's a lot more deer down there, because up here people hunt deer a lot.
Yeah.
And my zone, I think there's like 3 or 4 zones here where the deer is close, totally close. You can't hunt deer around here.
Wow.
I have to drive about 2 hours minimum to be able to hunt deer. And then you enter into the Fraser's Gates, Acadian timber land. Yeah. And like that's one of the issue we have. We want to go deer hunting down. Like, we need to know someone. We're very lucky this year that you invited me over, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to go. There's a few, like you said, a few private lands. We're lucky enough here that most people don't mind, but you still need to ask. And if you don't know the owners, you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But up here, like I said, at least if we want to go grouse hunting and moose hunting and bear hunting, you can just go and drive, and you're in the woods right away, and it's all crown land.
Mm-hmm. And when I say Ontario, I think it's worth mentioning, I'm talking about like Southern Ontario, where I have the most experience. So I'm talking,
you say Northern Ontario, you're talking like Sudbury.
Well, sure, yeah. So when I'm talking about Ontario, I'm talking mainly like south of Orillia, certainly south of Huntsville, and Parry Sound, that sort of thing. But yeah, not North Bay. That to us, that's everyone in Southern Ontario, which is most of the people in Ontario are there. North Bay is like the north. But you get up to North Bay, and everyone north of North Bay, that's like the big city down south. Yeah. So it's interesting that everyone, because they have the university there. So it's the closest, kind of southern university they would go to within the province.
Bay, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting thing. You grow up thinking, North Bay is the big north, but for a lot of Ontario, it's far south.
That's the furthest north in Ontario I've been.
Yeah.
Because my uncle lives in North Bay. In Quebec, I've been further north, but no, it's not. Isn't it crazy? Yeah. Hearst is this up there.
Yeah.
Well, it was crazy because like my parents, when they went moose hunting, they had to drive 12 hours.
Yeah.
Like 12 hours to get to where the moose were. And here it's just like, oh yeah, we could have gone back here if we got in the tag, but if not, it was up there. Like It's crazy. It's awesome. You know, super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool. Like I don't know. The more we get to know this province, the more we're like super, super happy to be here.
Nice. Well, that's fun. That's fun to hear.
Yeah. We like it.
So you both hunt, right? Lindsay, you hunt as well.
I'm just not very good at it.
No, well, it can't be worse than me. Did you apply for moose this year, or you didn't bother?
I don't think I did because I wasn't sure that I was going to have my pal, and figured that would be a crappy situation to be in. But I will next year for sure. When I went in for deer, did I get a tag?
You don't have your deer tag yet, but you can still buy it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're allowed to hunt if you don't have your pal. It's just that you need someone with you that has a pal card.
Yeah, which would be
if you were hunting with Jack.
You need to do yours. Your birthday's coming up. You got to do yours.
Yeah, I have to renew mine too.
Yeah. Marilyn, I after being up there, we get down here and I'm just like, there's so many people, which is wild compared to what we like came from, right? Like we're so rural now compared to what we were, but we go down to like, the city and we're like, we're in the capital city. We're not capital city people. Like what's going on? I can like go to Costco, come home, go to Home Depot, come back home, start a project, forget stuff from the project, go back to Home Depot twice. Like, and that's just, I don't know.
Yeah, you're like, what, 15 minutes from Costco?
Yeah. It's crazy. Like I was downtown Fredericton having dinner tonight and I was home in 20 minutes. I mean, like I left the restaurant at like 8:15.
And when you went up the second time to come and pick up Jack, did you go through like Fredericton and move like in like right in the middle towards
yes.
You went out
Boys Town.
Yeah.
I went that way. It was half an hour faster. It was way less kilometers and I used way less gas. So awesome. For the life of me, I don't know why the GPS even suggested going the other way. And also I didn't lose service once the second time going. Whereas the first time I didn't have service for an hour and a half twice, which is long when you have, so on my truck, it's got one of those fancy little aftermarket bullet antennas that looks really awesome. It doesn't work at all. I can be downtown Fredericton beside a radio station and it's like crackly, like it's garbage. It absolutely doesn't work. So if I lose service, then I can't use my phone for music and I can't use my truck for music. So I'm just silent. And Kenzie sobbed for an hour after we left. So that was rough. Like she just literally like looked out the back window and just cried for an hour because she was like, I miss Dad.
Oh no.
And it was really sad. But she rallied. It was okay. But
yeah. Well, poor girl. Take care, Chris and Steph. Thank you very much for dropping by.
Yeah.
Yeah, from what I understand, the second road you took is actually a shortcut to come up here. So you came out in Miramichi and from there you went up. That's probably the road you use as well. It's like what, 3 hours and 45 minutes to your place?
I think it was like 3.5. I had to stop a couple times, but it was not bad. And the traffic, I mean, just doesn't exist, which is really nice. And I'm always worried about the moose and stuff, but didn't see anything. I mean, it was bizarre to cross the Miramichi twice or 3 times, like in the city to get up. I was like, why are we doing this again? What's going on? It was this weird zigzag. So I don't know. I might look and see if there's a way to get kind of around the city next time. Although the last time I tried to do that here, I tried to find a different way down from Fredericton and I ended up on a logging road that was very, very bad and rutted and crazy. I lost service. I was running out of gas. I thought I was going to have to turn around. Like I wasn't going to be able to make it. And I was trying to find the shortcut. And then I see this little Honda Fit come up the other side. And I'm like, oh, I guess if you can do it, then I need to be able to do it. I managed, but I mean, it was an experience.
No, Marilyn, that's not the road we're taking. We go from here to Miramichi, and from Miramichi we go across Doketown, Boys Town, and it's straight to Fredericton. Jack seems to like that name.
He's always on it. I don't know. Like there's a few that he's just like attached himself to, and I can't.
Well, to me, Boys Town, it just sounds so funny. It sounds like a boy band name.
Oh my God.
But
What's the other one?
Renews is
Refuge?
more if you
Refuge?
went towards Plaster Rock or something like that.
Yeah, I saw the signs for that. I didn't go that way.
Yeah.
But
Plaster Rock is where I used to go deer hunt. We've seen a
Oh.
couple of deers in the past few years, but not enough. Thing is, there's a bunch of fishermen from the peninsula that go there and they pretty much claim like the place.
oh
You
God.
go there and you don't know if you're going to get shot. You don't know if you're going to get like my brother's got his camera stolen a few years back.
What?
The guy came to us. He's like, "Yeah, I took your camera. It's at the campground. Like, just come and get it. But you're not supposed to be here." Yeah, we're gonna go in there with a bunch of guys with guns, and
Yeah.
you're just literally threatening us, telling us that if we go there again, that you'll get angry, and yeah, we'll go get the camera all by ourselves.
Yeah, no thanks. Oh.
Well, we did, but nothing happened. It didn't feel so good at first.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that stuff. That's no good.
Well, that was pretty much all the questions I had for tonight. It was fun. I'm gonna stop it there because I want to go to bed and get up early in the morning for grouse hunting.
I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
And you guys are going hunting too, or you have some class?
Well,
We're gonna go to Moncton.
tomorrow.
Mhm.
Okay. Well,
No one came in.
I'm not in charge of our itinerary, so if it was me and we were here through the day doing various things, we've been chopping down some pine trees, so I would probably spend a couple hours doing that, and then I could see myself sneaking off to the woods with the dog and see if I can get on some grouse, or woodcock. But
We'll figure it out because I didn't realize grass open tomorrow. So
yeah,
maybe we'll figure something out. We have grass here.
yeah,
Well, like here.
like in the backyard.
Yeah.
I've not seen a grouse back there.
Okay.
You probably have some. I
I've
saw.
seen a couple woodcock. but
Maybe it's all the hunting dogs.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much for being here, and I will see you
Yeah.
in a month. And I'll let you guys know as soon as I know precisely how much meat I
Yep.
got.
Yay,
And,
thank you.
yeah.
Thank you again.
Oh, no problem. I'm just happy that you guys will get your chance to eat some.
Yay.
Yeah,
Nice.
that'll be great.
That
That's
sounds so
what
good.
that's what we'll be eating.
All winter.
Well, and when you're here too.
Yeah.
We'll have to get into something.
Awesome.
Make some chili or something.
I'm
Right
gonna
on.
do that.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for being here. And I used to go south. Good night, everyone. Yeah, I'm not so used to go down there as well at Maryland. But yeah, I go once in a while, and usually for an occasion like this, hunting or soccer tournament or whatever. All right.
Come hang out with us Southerners.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, everyone.
All right. See you.